Super excited. This is great. Oh, the meeting's being recorded. I think I'm just going to leave then. It's just um, so yeah, I figured I'd take you guys through sort of a somewhat typical morning practice that I do. It'll be a bit different, and I can speak to some of that as we go. But I figured that might be good for some of you who are, experimenting with different practices or sort of sequences at various times of the day. So we'll start with. Let me just grab this up. I know Kelly's going to pull it up for me. We're going to do the 7-line supplication to Padmasambhava, and we'll also do the Vajraguru mantra. So this is a for our lineage a very special mantra, very important one, and so do it quite often. And I try and start at least once or twice a day. I am doing this one. So just follow along. This is not a concert, but I like to have the Shruti sometimes to sort of fill in the gaps. We can't all sing together, so please sing along. Okay, now you know it. We're going to go again. Now we do the Vajraguru mantra at the bottom of the page. Om Ahom Benzaguru Pema Siri 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 Om So I often really enjoy, let's see about this screen here, chanting these days. You know, I'm a musician, so it would seem like I would like to chant and things, but oddly enough, when I first joined the Sangha, when the first retreats came on, I did not respond well to all the chanting and stuff, actually. So, and the prayers and things, I found it hard to get into because I had come from, I was born into a Seventh-day Adventist religion, which had you did a lot of praying and very different than this, and a lot of singing, which I always sort of loved a lot of the singing. My mom is Jamaican, so we went to a lot of black churches, which was a lot of fun and a lot of good singing, and you know, it was like, could be pretty vibrant. But so I had, you know, I obviously am not a Seventh-day Adventist. Well, pretty obvious for anyone who knows Seventh-day Adventist. And so going back, and I hadn't, you know, I've been very sort of secular for a long time, right? Secular, right? Buddhism is not really religion in the sense, I don't think, that we think of religions in the West. It's a little bit different than that. It's sort of a set of practices that help us to enlighten, right? And they're, you know, obviously wrapped in various practices and ideas based on culture, right? So, you know, that's part of what we're doing here is with like how does Dzogchen look in a Western and American sort of you know, world, and how do we sort of maintain the essence and the sort of the profundity of it while not getting too dogmatic or trying to look like something else. So I had a little bit of a tough time at first. And then I realized as I was meditating more, I didn't really do much of the chanting to begin with. I would chant at retreat and stuff. But then as I would meditated more, my practice became more, I realized that the space created, sort of the shunyata we talk about, the emptiness, it's kind of beautiful to have it filled with music and with sound and with devotion and with love, right? So that's kind of what, right? So there's this void and we can choose what to fill it with. and it's naturally emanating. I don't want to get in trouble. Like, it's naturally emanating all these things, but you can choose to celebrate them. And so I found now the chanting to be a really sort of amazing part of the practice, and I don't go a day without it. So, so now a typical thing I would go into in the morning, then I would do a little bit of chanting, and then I would normally do some breathing. So we have the Tibetan yoga practice that we do regularly. If any of you've been on retreat, we have Lama has condensed down hundreds of secret tantric yoga practices and into a series of 9, which are really sort of distilled and sort of amazing practices. And this is another thing that over the years I've realized to try and do every day. So it really does help. And it's really about breath. You know, I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday about the importance of breath and just how, you know, we're finding now, right, in our scientific communities. This guy was a scientist and he was speaking to some people who are all about ethical use of social media and technology, and they're talking about the breath, you know, and how, like, you know, this guy started studying breath with deep sea divers that do like the free diving, which is insane. You know, you can dive down, you know, I think maybe I hear this wrong, but I heard something like 300 feet. Some have gone underwater on one breath. And he was studying this, and it's like, well, how is this possible? Started studying the breath, and then obviously that led him to Eastern things. It led him to Tummo, which is a Tibetan practice of creating inner heat. And so he's now going out and telling the world about like what you can do with your breath. And, you know, there was a woman in Germany who healed herself of like really, really bad scoliosis just with breath and stuff like this. So these are all scientists now discovering this. So, you know, a lot of the ancient, religions and things have known about the power of breath for a long time. So this is another thing that I think is very important. And, and chanting is about breath in a lot of ways as well. There was one part of the study they were talking about where they analyzed, I believe it was Om Mani Padme Hum, and they analyzed like some Catholic, I don't know what it was, like it was another chant, whatever. I'm not up on the Catholic stuff. I see. Yeah, I'll remember later. Doesn't matter. But that there's a certain cadence actually that both give that create this sort of out breath, right? And the focus on the out breath. I think essentially it was double the in breath. I think essentialized. And what that does to our nervous system, how it calms us down, how it allows more oxygen into our brains, actually more CO2 to be processed, which is super important. I'm not a scientist, so I'm like mangling this, but please look into it. So before we get into like our meditation, typically what I'll do is I'll chant, and then I'll do 3 of the 9 exercises. So I guess I'll try and do this. They're somewhat simple. So we'll start. If everyone just wants to get prepared to do a little bit of breathing. I don't know if you've come prepared to breathe today, but that's your choice, I guess. Or investigate if it's your choice to breathe or not, and we can have a discussion about that. It's pretty telling. It's pretty telling about who's doing what around here, as Lama would say, when you try and stop your breathing. All right, so we've arrived. We're sitting. We're just going to do 3 deep breaths, and we do a thing with a mudra. Sometimes it's not important here, but for those of you who know, right, we can do that. I'm not going to get into all that right now. It's above my pay grade. Menla can lead that next time, I'm sure. Okay, so we're just going to take in 3 deep breaths. Breath number 1. Brief hold, and we're just going to audibly let it go. So we can just let anything that we're holding on to, right? There's a part of this that's psychological. If you need that to just say, all right, I'm letting go of what's in there. I'm filling myself with clean air. I'm letting go all the impurities that come up with the breath. Breath number 2, breathe out. Breathe in. All right. And breath number 3, breathe out. Let it all out first. And in. And exhale. So that's the first exercise. You just let whatever go off of that. See what changes there are. You may want to slap yourself around a little bit. Make sure your body knows you're here. Little secret, your body always knows you're here. Sometimes the you, who you think you are, doesn't know you're here. That's another subject. But you can't be anywhere else. Never been anywhere else. All right, now we'll do alternate nostril breathing. There's a whole bunch of fancy stuff that goes with this, but we're going to do the simple version. So we're going to breathe in, and then we're going to plug our left nostril, and we're going to breathe out through our right nostril. If I get the order wrong, I can see Menla. She thinks maybe I'm not looking, but I can see her. But it's okay. All right, so with no further ado, we're going to breathe out all the way. We're going to breathe in, and we're going to do a brief hold and plug that left nostril and breathe out through our right. Okay? All right, here we go. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Plug that nostril. Let it out. Okay. And now we're going to breathe in, and we're going to plug the right one. And breathe in. Plug the nostril. Brief hold. Breathe out through the nostril. All the way. And now we're going to breathe in through both nostrils and out through both nostrils. This is to balance into the central channel. So now breathe in. Breathe, hold, and breathe out. Through both nostrils. So if you see this little snap thing I'm doing after, that's just sort of a way to get the last breath. So you want to get all of that breath out as much as you can. So however you want to do that, if you want to just sort of smack yourself on the ribs a little bit, or just something to sort of just snap that last breath out. Sometimes, you know, if you get into it, you can sort of snap your stomach to get that last little breath out, but that's what we're doing there. So, okay, so we're doing the same thing. We're going to do 2 more rounds, okay? So breathe out, breathe in. Plug the nostril, breathe, hold, and out through the nostril. Okay, breathe in, breathe in. Plug the right nostril. Breathe out. Let it all out. Give yourself a little snap if you want that. And now breathe out. In. And out through both nostrils. All right. So maybe let's sit for a moment, let that settle, see what that's doing to you. But don't think too long. Breathe in. Left nostril. Breathe out. Breathe in. Right nostril. Breathe out. And breathe it all out. Breathe in. Breathe, hold. Breathe out. All right. So we could sit with that for a moment. Just noticing anything changes. Scan your body. This is what we're doing. We get in touch with our experience and what we experience. It's through the body. What we hold things, or subconscious holdings are in the body. You can find them all there if you know how to look for it. And now we're going to do the next exercise we call the pot belly stove. This one is pretty powerful. So basically we're breathing in. A lot of you know this, I know. We're going to breathe in. We're going to hold, and then we're going to push our lower belly out and hold our lower belly out as long as we can, right? So we're kind of trying to expand all around, like a balloon, all around our lower belly, not just sort of out in the front, but sort of expanded all around, right? And obviously, you know, work with your body as it is. You know, there's you know, at various times, if I'm working on that, I'll look to hold longer and longer and longer, and you'll find you can hold your breath a lot longer than you thought you could. And the secret kind of is in that, if you're doing that practice, for those who do this practice regularly, what I've been finding is, if you really try and sit and reside in that hollowness below your belly button, like 2 finger lengths below your belly button, and set back about 1 inch, if that means anything, there's sort of this space. And if you kind of like bring your awareness into this space, you can bring it away from your chest from your thinking. And so it can be pretty powerful. Then you can actually sit in there and you can realize you can play with your attention. If you take your attention from there, move it to your chest, you can then, because that's where you're feeling sort of any senses of like anxiety about holding your breath for a long time tends to be in sort of in here. So you can kind of find this spot where you can find this sort of solace within this sort of like storm. Obviously, we're self-creating it as a way for us to understand the mechanisms that trigger us and how they work and find calm in it, right? So for me, that's what I try and find in this exercise. It's finding calm within this sort of circumstances that can be somewhat distressing. And there's other physiological things to it, but that's part of the meditation part of it for me. So we'll do this. We're not going to hold for long. We're just getting into it a little bit. So same thing. So to go through it again, we're going to exhale completely. We're going to breathe in. We're going to and then we're going to hold our breath, push our lower belly out, right? Let it expand. And we're going to hold for a little bit. And then we're going to let our breath out. And you can let it out with a sigh, with an ah, however that sort of feels natural for you. So here we go. Breathing out. Breathe in. Hold. Push out the lower belly. And let it go. So, bum chen. That's, I believe, the Tibetan phrase for it. Okay, so we'll go again. Breathe out. Breathe in. Push the belly out. Relax into the hara. So let your body settle into your lower belly. And let it go. Right, so we're breathing nice and deep into our belly, right? One of the things you're talking about in this podcast yesterday is how we shallow breathe. We shallow breathe into our chest. There's so much long other than that, right? It's actually the wrong way to breathe. So breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. Push it out. Really push it out a little further. Let it expand out, but relax. Sit down into your sit bones and into your hara. And let it go. So I'm going to just sit for a moment there. So I think a lot of times I'll go into refuge from here, but just with this is actually another way that I do it. And looking at the time, it probably makes sense. So this is a sort of the short version. And I know a lot of us in our days are very short of time. So maybe this is the better one to sort of show. Where is it? Well, I'm finding where that is in the book. Kelly, iron all beings are primarily Buddha, known as to be essential. Yeah, I don't know where that is in the thing. I think it's in this one. Might not be in it's not in this one. That's one I do a lot. All right, so let's do one of the other Go up to the.
Yeah, it's not in this one, Pete. If you want to just give me a name.
Yeah, I'll just. Well, it's a pretty simple one. It says, I and all beings are primordially Buddha, known as to be essentially true. I give rise to the awakened mind of supreme enlightenment. So this is one I will often do right before if I'm going to doing a shorter version of it and don't go through all of refuge. Um, I and all beings are primordially Buddha, knowing this to be essentially true. I give rise to the awakened mind of supreme enlightenment. So with that, why don't we sit for a moment and then we'll come back on the other side and maybe talk a little bit about it. So we find a comfortable seat. Kelly, you might want to mute your mic. So just finding a comfortable seat. Check should practice. All right, we've just chanted and we've gotten in touch with our breath, with our body. So often here, it's good to just sort of check in and maybe see where your body is. So I often like to start by just doing sort of a little bit more in depth of a scan, sort of starting from the feet, from the toes. Right, so just essentially saying hello, just awareness, just being aware of their presence there. It's the sensations. And just saying a little hello to your toes. And then you can say hello to the balls of your feet. The arches. Top of the feet. The whole foot. What a glorious thing these feet are. They nearly say a word as they take us all around, barely complain. We often take it for granted. There they are. These wonderful miracle inventions. So now we can just be aware of our ankles, Holding our feet still gently in awareness, we just go from one sort of area to the next. Just bring awareness. If you feel any tension in any of them, you can gently just tell them down as shorthand for relax, or you could say relax, or and just going up to our calves, shins, just aware, our knees, just aware of our whole lower leg, just any sensations, if there's any tension, just say down or let go or relax. And we go to our upper legs, hamstrings, thighs, quads, just our legs as a whole, just aware, just getting into our experience. Now we can be aware of our butts in the seats, our sit bones, just aware, perhaps breathing into the areas as we go, just bringing awareness to them, saying hello, and then any tension, letting it go, down, bring awareness into our bellies and our genital area, just relaxing. Just relaxing, aware of any sensations in our lower belly, and be aware of the whole area, deep and internal part of our lower belly, all of our organs and guts, all that, which is constantly keeping us alive and keeping us moving without asking anything except healthier diet. Just aware of all these parts we may not always think about in this way, and then bring awareness to our lower back. Notice if there's any pain or tension there. Not denying the pain or indulging in it, just aware, gently telling it down or relax. And you can come to the upper belly, solar plexus area, just aware. And breathing through any tension or feelings that may arise. As Lama always says, secret to letting go is letting come and go. So let come and go. Now the mid back. Just bringing awareness. I'll bring awareness into our heart center. I want to just have a sense of even breathing in through your heart center, and through your chest area, rather than breathing in through your nose and filling your lungs. Just breathing straight in, just as a sense, helps to bring space and awareness to the area. It's something I do all the time during my days, on long, stressful calls. It's changed my sense of breathing and breathing in through any areas that are tense. Now our back, upper back, and shoulders, just breathing in, just bringing awareness to any tension. Just allow it to come and go. Need a little bit of help, ask it down, relax. Now our upper chest, our throat area. Some awareness there. I often find tension in the throat area. There's often a lot of things we want to say, we don't say. We often are gripping. Just being aware of that, allowing that to be felt. If that feels similarly, and then letting it go. Any thoughts that come from it. Now we go to the back of the neck, sort of base of the head, base of the skull. Just awareness. And we come into our chin. A little sense of breathing in through our chins, breathing in through our cheeks, breathing in through our lips, breathing into the tips of our noses. And awareness of breathing in. The breath is a very powerful tool of awareness to use, to be aware of. Aware of breathing into our eyes. So aware of the sensation of having eyes, breathing into them. Right? Not seeing, just aware of the actual eyes themselves. And then breathing into our forehead, our third eye, as it's often called, that area. Being aware of. You bring that awareness deeper inside the center of your skull. Behind this idea of the third eye, can you breathe in deep? Can you be aware of the center of your head? And then aware of our foreheads. And we can go to our ears. Just aware of the ears themselves. And then this wrap around to the back, top of our heads, the back of our head. Just aware of breathing into. I'm going to go to the top of our head. Breathing in, being aware of a sense of Maybe even breathing down into, drawing breath from above into the top of our heads. How fine can your awareness get? Can you feel the hair on the top of your head? Can you feel a single hair? No, just sort of a sense of awareness of, maybe you want to scan back down through your body, all the way down to your feet. Can you be aware of the bottom of your feet and the top of your head at the same time? Just letting the awareness go a little bit now. Just being aware and allowing awareness to be, as Lama would say, aware of awareness, and just being less direct about where it goes. Now we're just sitting. We're aware of all these sensations that we just rolled through, but we're not holding, we're not directing the attention. Just allow awareness to be, just sitting, just breathing, just being. You had your eyes closed. Now maybe a time to open the eyes, sky gaze. We've done a little bit of focused attention just to get a sense of our awareness, the awareness within our bodies. And now just be a little bit more formal or less formal, depending on how you're looking at it. Structured practice. Just sitting, just breathing, just being, body like a mountain. As it is. Breath like the ocean's waves. As it is. And awareness, conscious, just being, not being anything, just being, fully arrived. There's no moment better than this moment. There's nothing to search for. There's been no moment in the past better than this moment. It's only been this moment. The whole time. Imaho. So mouth open, eyes open, everything open, heart open.
Can you be more aware right this moment? Be more awake. Can you be more awake? Can you be more aware? As Lama Raja says, can you be 10% more aware? Try it. I find useful if I feel like I'm back into thinking, losing whatever it is I thought I had gained. Just to do another quick scan of the body, or sit back again, bring awareness into the lower belly, into the hara. Back into something less conceptual, more as it is. So our bodies are always in the present moment, never been anywhere other than the present moment. Of course, neither have we, whatever we may be. It's a real quick way to get back to the present moment. Imaho, what a miracle. Now we're done meditating. Try just sitting. What changed? So do dedicate the practice. The one I typically do is, I know them by what they are, Gewadi Nerdudak. I'm really bad with names. Sorry. There we go. Dedication and virtue to complete realization, of course. Gewadi Nerdudak Jokpa Chembo Drum Gune Joa Chikang Malu Padi Salam Gopar. Through this virtue, may we swiftly realize and fully embody the natural great perfection, and thereby bring all, without exception, to its complete realization. And we'll do the bodhicitta dedication. Jeng Chuk Sem Chok Rinpoche Makye Panam Kegyo Chi Kepa Nepa Mepa Yang Gongde Gongdu Pelwa Shok. May the pure and brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And let's do Lama's prayer, the Millennium Prayer, for our wonderful Lama, who is with us always in spirit. May all beings everywhere with whom you are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may they be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, safe, and free. May there be peace and harmony in this world and an end to war and violence, poverty and hunger, inequality and oppression, greed and cruelty, pandemics, famine, droughts, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters. May all be free from fear, harm, danger, anxiety, and insecurity. May we better prepare ourselves for the natural calamities that beset us all. And may we all together complete this spiritual journey, one beloved community, one circle, one family, all the way home. Bow to the Buddha in your seat. Don't overlook it.
We have a few questions for you, Brother Pete.
Okay. What you got?
One question is, I am struggling with practicing doing business. There is more judgment and less mindfulness. Any thoughts on how to integrate private practice during business transactions?
Yeah, absolutely. I own a company, do a lot of business where I have to show up as well, and I mean, there's a lot to the idea of doing business and sort of any type of business out in the world, right? I think this applies across many spectrums, right? Business being one of them. I guess there's a couple things in there. I would say I don't know all the details, obviously, but one thing as we meditate more and you know, we may think about, I don't know what business this person is doing, obviously, but is differentiating between, am I having trouble practicing certain things during business because the business I'm doing is not fitting with my ethics, with my meditation practice, with my awareness, mean, that's one thing, and I have no idea that that's the case, right? So, but that's one thing to investigate, right? The type of business I'm doing, does it fit with where I want to be as a person, where I want to be in myself? Do I want to augment my practices somewhat? You know, as I've practiced more and with my company, I have found ways to augment and change how I do business. So, and I'm not sure that that's the question, but I'm just throwing that out there as well, right? From another standpoint, judgment, um, and these type of discursive thinking or emotional thinking, and you know, this comes in all of our transactions as humans between each other, whether it's with the kids, with our loved ones, our our parents. So part of what helps with that is, like I was talking about, is breathing, right? Is taking deep breaths, bringing focus to the breath as to where you are right now. Because when you bring focus to the breath, I find it brings focus to your whole body, your whole organism, which then allows you to see where it is that you're holding whatever it is you're holding. Right. So judgment or stress or these things, like, yeah, there's a thought mechanism to it, but there's also a sense, there's a feeling to it. So if you can find that feeling as you're going through it and breathe, and then find it perhaps in your body, you can breathe into that and it can help to bring space. So what you're trying to need to do is bring space to these type of thoughts and feelings, right? If you have space around them, you can react to them in different ways. So that's what I would say there. There's everything's always operating on many levels. Just quickly, well, I know there's like only 1 minute left, but knowing that in any situation we're in, there's a level of sort of what we're doing, sort of like very much in the physical moment, or just a relative nature of being, right? There's like an inner piece to it. There's an emotional piece to it that is also helping us, and all these can be used in our practice. And there's always a secret thing to what we're doing in each moment, right? So I often think about how I run into people, and it's like, I'm buying a car, but if you can buy in a car, if you just look at it face value, you're just buying a car. But if you look at it one step deeper, you can see I'm buying a car from this person, and this person is somebody, and I'm speaking, and you can speak to them. And then you could realize, like, I may have met this person a trillion times in other, who knows if any of that's real, in past lives, whatever, right? So there's all these elements going on at one time. They're all part of our practice. So every single transaction, every meeting, every thought that we have or discussion with somebody has levels that we can learn from, and that are there for our continued striving for enlightenment. So take nothing for granted. Bring mindfulness to every situation, and you'll find that there's sort of, it unfolds, like a flower. There's so much more. And I would love to go into my story of the guys that I bought the car from the dealership, but another time. But it was deep and amazing.
Thank you so much, Pete. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. As always, the Dzogchen Center is funded purely through donations. The link is in the chat, so even if you have $1 to give, this keeps these teachings going. And just another announcement, the masterclass is back in action starting on September 19th. It'll be once a month, and that link is also in the chat. So lovely to see everyone. Have a beautiful, mindful week, and thank you again, Pete.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Menla. Thank you, everybody. It's great to see you.
Bye.